Overnight emails sent to Canadian Ticketmaster customers urging them to be vigilant and take steps to protect against identity theft. This after the company was hacked. Here is tech expert Carmi Levy, who joins us now for more. Carmi, good morning. And what is Ticketmaster saying about this data breach, and what exactly are they recommending that their customers do?
Well, here we go again, Jeff. This is the second time in as many months that we've been having this conversation about this company, of course, owned by Live Nation. Now they're saying that personal information, including contact information, credit or debit card information, including the expiration dates and the numbers, might have been included in this breach. They say that the data had been sitting on what they call a third-party platform. In other words, a company, a partner that they worked with. They stored the data on behalf of Ticketmaster. They were compromised sometime between April 2nd and May 18th. So this is common. You know, we're hearing about this every day. However, Ticketmaster, last time they were hit, over 500 million accounts were compromised. They're not even giving a number this time, but I'm willing to bet when we hear it will be significant. The message to anyone who may have bought a Ticketmaster ticket recently is you got to keep your eyes open. Watch your financial accounts for weird activity, transactions that you didn't expect, and certainly keep make sure that the apps that you're using for your finances on your smartphone, that you are using two-factor authentication, encryption, all of the security features that are available to you. This is not a time to stick your head in the sand.
Carmi, online scams are just growing as sophisticated online criminals steal billions each and every year. Let's talk about how big this problem is right now, and how big is it projected to get? How much bigger?
It's massive, and the numbers are actually frightening. Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, between 2020 and 2022, the numbers almost quadrupled, now trending at over $500 million a year. And that's only what we know of, because we know full well that also, according to the Anti-Fraud Centre, that only 5 to 10% of all frauds are ever reported. So take whatever numbers that you see and multiply them by 10 or 20, and that maybe we're in the ballpark. They show that almost half of all Canadians report that they have fallen victim to some kind of fraud. So if you haven't been victimized, then just look to your left or right. That person next to you has been. And in the US, the numbers are even higher. They're reporting in the tens or hundreds of billions, depending on what source you get. In other words, it's significant, it's underreported, and it's getting worse almost by the day.
And Carmi, let's talk about AI and its role when it comes to online scams. I'm guessing that AI is helping these scams get more sophisticated and more realistic?
It's throwing fire on the flames. What's essentially happening is allowing cyber criminals to scale up their operations, hit more victims more quickly with much higher fidelity assets, audio, video, imagery. They can clone someone's voice or their persona, and they can then call you and make it sound like it's your grandchild who's being victimized. And of course, now you'll send them the money. So we know that the fidelity of these tools, because there's a new image generator or video generator or audio generator coming out every day, that the fidelity is so high that it's almost impossible to tell the difference between something that's been synthetically created or real, which means that when you see or hear that, when you get that message in your inbox, it looks real, you're more inclined to respond to it, more likely to become a victim. So its AI is just adding huge amounts of capability to cyber criminals, and it's making it a lot easier for them to fool us into believing that they are in fact not criminals, but legit.
Now, Carmi, many of these scams originate overseas. Is that making it harder for authorities to stop them and make the criminals accountable?
It certainly does, Carolyn. I mean, the internet is a global resource, and data doesn't stop at the border, but in many cases, law enforcement does. And so, for years, criminals have known this. They simply set up shop across the border or across the pond, and then they reach into a geography knowing full well that law enforcement will not be able to touch them. That is beginning to change, and we are seeing, for example, the RCMP, CSIS, other law enforcement agencies are increasingly partnering with police forces around the world in other jurisdictions to bring these individuals to justice. But it's kind of like a fire hose problem. There are so many cyber criminals out there that it's simply overwhelming for law enforcement, especially when you're working internationally, to keep pace with as many victims as there are. So, it is getting better, but the sad truth is only a tiny percentage of international cyber frauds are being prosecuted, and very few of them are being brought to justice, meaning full well that if you are victimized in this way, there's very little chance that there will be some kind of cross-border investigation and prosecution.
Yeah, Carmi, just in our last 30 seconds, what's a good takeaway for our TMS viewers as this technology gets more sophisticated? How can individuals protect themselves?
You keep your eyes open. You watch your account activity like a hawk. Anything, even a small transaction that looks a little bit iffy, that should be your trigger. You call your bank. You make sure that you're using every feature they have on your app, on your account, to track fraud and make sure that that doesn't happen again. Use services like haveibeenpwned.com to track whether your email address has been included in a previous breach, and then make sure that you are changing your passwords, locking your accounts down, closing out accounts that you're no longer using to minimize your exposure to this kind of activity. This is not a time to stick your head in the sand. This is a time to open your eyes, head on a swivel.
All right, Carmi, thank you for this update.
Appreciate it, guys.